Welcome to the 2020-2021 AAEOY Virtual Awards Ceremony.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Career Carnival, the last activity or grand finale of the 2020 to 2021 AAEOY event, Asian American Engineer of the Year Award. I'm Larry Wan, the organizer of today's activity. Together with me is Michelle Chan, who will be our moderator and also hosting with me today. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, Larry. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited. Yeah.
We have watched the video about AAEOY when it started, the typical activity it has, and also this year's event so far. But one thing isn't really covered. That's why we do it and the significance of AAEOY. For this, I like to have Raymond Chan to share his observation and his opinion. Raymond is the National Council AAEOY chair. He also leads the organizing committee and many volunteers for almost 2 years, starting with the physical event as usual and switch to the virtual format under the pandemic. Without his leadership, I wouldn't believe that we could do as well under the challenge of the virtual event format. I thought it was easier. To my great surprise, it's much more challenging. Part of that is that it's a new format for all of us. And I appreciate very much Raymond's leadership and the support of the committee member, plus many, many volunteers. Raymond?
Let me first unmute myself. We're all on the video and Larry's introduction. Yes. Good evening, and actually good afternoon, right? Oh, even some of us are from East Coast, but most of us, oh, good afternoon. Yanshu, could you start the first welcome slides? Yeah, because this is my great pleasure, right, to welcome our AAEOY awardees, invited speakers, our friends, and all the audience online. Let's go to the first slides next. For many of you, if you already attend our AAEOY some events before, I want to thank you for your support to continue participating. And if you are the first time to come to our event, now you already know from the previous video that AAEOY, the Asian American Engineer of the Year Award and Conference Program, is a great platform to honor the most distinguished Asian American professionals, with their leadership, technical achievements, and the remarkable public services. But the one thing I want to add, it's also about sharing and the contribution back to our community. So with that spirit, I want to thank again all the invited awardees and the speakers to come during the weekend. And if you never heard of our program before, I encourage you to check out our website, AAEOY.org. There are a lot of many historical contents and also showcase of our awardees and their stories, and as well our program, what we have had in the last few months. So please, next slide. In the recent month, right, as Larry said, we transformed our in-person program into many online events. We had a couple AAEOY speaker series. We inviting past awardees to share their technical outlook as well as the personal career stories with our audience. If you miss those, speaker series program, our website had those videos recorded. So please check on that. And then on June 5th, we had our first virtual talent meetup career fair online, which had a theme about how to prepare apply for a job during the pandemic, including resume writing tips and advice from the HR talent acquisition experts. And today is our second career fair, and I hope you will enjoy that. So two other events I want to mention is what happened in the last 2 weeks, our AAEOY pre-award gala and the main event, award ceremony. Next slide. The award ceremony is a video carefully prepared by professional filmmakers as well as volunteers to introduce our awardees and the companies or organizations they serve. Besides their personal stories, there are also many great material about the future of technology and science, as well as the engineering profession, and also some of the challenges facing our community. So please do check our AAEOY award ceremony on the webpage or on our YouTube Premiere channel. Next one. On July 17th, it's the day before the award ceremony, we had a pre-award gala that inviting all our awardees, VIP guests, as well as corporate sponsors, participating organizations getting together. It's a small networking event, but a lot of great minds and great people had a networking session to share our experience live, online, face-to-face with the video cameras. As you can see, some of the awardees, including some our distinguished lifetime awardee, Mr. Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, as well as a past awardee, Professor Liu from UC Berkeley, Dean of the College of Engineering, and also CTO of Boeing, Dr. Naveed Hossam, as well as CTO of the state of California, Mr. PK Agarwal, all attended this little networking events. It's very great, and we had a toast with all the awardees together. But that was a small event. Today, I'm so glad that we can invite some of our awardees come to this career fair. So we have a chance, so all the audience online can have a sharing or interaction sessions, ask questions with our awardees. So they have a lot of story to share and advice about their career stories. So without further ado, I want to give the floor back to Dr. Larry Wang, who's the chair and also the leader of this event. Larry, please take it away.
Thank you, Raymond. Ladies and gentlemen, please grant me a few more minutes before we start the event. First is that I'd like to introduce a little bit more about today's event. Next slide, please, Yanshu. We have two parts. The first part will be in this webinar. As Raymond put it, it's a great honor to have our esteemed AAEOY awardees sharing their vast experience in their career of success and also of challenges. Through their personal stories they share with us, we also have the chance to raise questions covering anything from job application, career advice, personal effort and soft skill, to leadership, management skill, and so forth. No question will be too difficult for these esteemed panelists. Please enter your question in the chat channel of the Zoom. Due to our restraint on the resource, we'll focus on the chat channel for the questions and ignore the anything posted in the Q&A part of the Zoom. The second part of the event will be the job fair. 11 AAEOY sponsors brought hundreds of the job openings to this job fair, ranging for interns, entry levels, all the way to the experienced senior management, and field-wise covering all in the STEM, plus other necessary functions like accounting, legal, administration tasks in their job. At the end of this webinar, we will give some general guideline to make getting around the job fair much easier. Without further delay, let's start the virtual interview of our awardees, hearing their story and advices about how to thrive in our jobs. Yansu, please.
It's moments and events like these that bring us together to celebrate advancements in impact, empowered by technology and amazing people. In all cases, these impacts will last for generations to come. Together, we can all be the change we wish to see in the world. Together, we can build inclusive cultures where everyone belongs and has equal opportunity to innovate and make this world a better place.
I love being an engineer, someone who solves challenging problems from first principles, creating elegant designs that are creative and that optimally use resources. I was destined to be an engineer. My father was an engineer. My brothers are engineers. My wife Lori's an engineer. We met sophomore year at Oregon State. I started my career at AMD, then LSI Logic. I loved both jobs. I was fortunate to have witnessed firsthand the arrival of many events that shaped the computer industry. The transition from bipolar to CMOS, the relentless progress of Dennard scaling, EDA and high-level design where software designed chips, the RISC versus CISC debate, the workstation, Ethernet and TCP/IP, 3D graphics, the PC revolution, the foundry and fabless chip companies, wireless communications, the open source revolution, the internet revolution, 1.0 and 2.0, the mobile revolution, the cloud computing revolution, and now accelerated computing and AI, software writing software. AI is the most powerful technology force of our time. The global realization of AI's potential has attracted massive focus from computer scientists, researchers of every field of science, and investments from companies big and small. That's fantastic. AI will impact many, and we must maintain an open dialogue to guide its effective use and support a broad range of innovations that will democratize the technology for all. There has never been a more exciting time to be an engineer.
Now, obviously, technical skills are very important for an incoming talent, especially for an engineering company like TI. I'm looking for their thought process. How did they pick the program? Why did they pick the program? How did they select their classes? The second aspect is collaborative mindset. Very, very critical in a work environment. During an interview, I like to have a discussion about their experiences during team projects. The last one, communication. While I'm looking for the delivery, but I'm also looking for substance of the content. Not looking for best marketeer, but someone who is listening to the questions, thinking on the feet, and honestly engaging in a conversation.
The three factors I would consider are adaptability, teamwork, and creativity. Teamwork is an obvious factor we need to consider. Adaptability. Throughout our career, we often need to pick up new skills, working with different teams and different people. Therefore, adaptability is very important. Last, As an engineer, we constantly need to face new challenges and solve new problems. Therefore, creativity is very important. Then another advice I would suggest is to be sincere and demonstrate the true yourself during interview. The time you're going to spend at work is half of your awake time every day. You don't want to be fake it.
So there's a saying in the industry, hire for attitude, train for skill. Now that does not mean we're going to hire people with great attitude and no skills. What it does mean is that you've been called for an interview because you have passed the basic skills test. Your education and experience that you've put on a resume has qualified you for the job. And while you will be asked questions to validate your skills at the interview, the new information that will matter is your inherent traits, your attitude, because these cannot be taught easily. Well, some of those inherent traits or attitude are, how do you work in a team? Most of our projects are team-based. Most successes are team successes. So the notion of helping others in your team so that your team succeeds is very important. The other attitude is, how are you at adapting to change? In the computer industry, there's constant change. New technology, new competitors, market changes. You have to be very comfortable with change. The other interesting thing is, how motivated are you for the job? How interested are you? Are you dedicated? Do you persevere and not give up easily? We in our industry are given a lot of challenging problems to solve. Do you embrace company ethics and values? So as you prepare for the interview, along with brushing up your skills, think about your attitude, why you want this job, and what do you bring to the table in the new team.
For entry-level positions, I would first check their academic background to see if it's a good match. Even though you don't have to find a job that matches your major in the university, it would be much easier if you do have the right education for the position. I would also check how passionate the candidate is about the position. To me, it's very important that you choose a job that you're excited about. If you love what you do, you'll be more willing to go the extra mile to excel at the job. You'll be more resilient in the challenges that come your way and grow in the position. The third factor I would consider is whether the candidate is a team player. We all need to work in teams, and the ability to collaborate, to manage potential conflicts in a constructive way is crucial for success.
So based on my career advancement and progression, I think here's the three key things that I want to offer to the young professional. The first thing is, if you are having some unique cultural background like Asian heritage, you need to make use of it to make an impact as a professional, and together with your employer or organization as a direct benefactor. So personally, for my case, I have lived in this country long enough. I have the knowledge of both world, the Western world and the Asian or Eastern world. So I have used it for my advantages. I have the knowledge, I have the know-how, so I have been able to make impact both on the scientific and technological advances in ways that may challenge others. So that's the first point. The second point is, if you perform well in school, so great academics, it doesn't necessarily turn into a great, successful professional. So you have to do more than that. So I believe that looking at the bigger picture for the business development, develop a soft skill around communicating, influencing, and collaborating. That's the key critical factor for the young professional as well. So great school grade or great academic achievement would not land you that far. You have to do more. So I think as long as you stay motivated, seek out opportunity to develop yourself in leadership role, then everything will work out just fine. So the last point I want to make is perhaps, just follow up with the second point, that is always seek out opportunity for leadership position. Always seeing something bigger than yourself, working toward the team, toward the goal of your organization or employer, and you will eventually move into the management and leadership position. And this is what you want to achieve.
First one is choose a career that you love. It's more important than the title and money. We all know for every job, there will be certain things you may not enjoy doing. But if you love what you do, you can handle the challenges and possible setback much better. Next is to figure out which path you like to follow. In STEM field, typically you have the choice of a technical path or management path. Each one would require different focus and development. It will be important to figure out if you want to remain as an individual contributor and progress on the path of a technical expert or become a people's manager. Once you make up your mind, you need to develop the skill sets suitable for the related path. Last but not least, choose a workplace that has the culture and value in alignment with your own personal values. In my case, for example, I checked if the company value is in sync with my personal value, which includes curiosity, courage, and humility. Those match well with AMS Austrian core value of agile mindset, imagine the impossible, and trust and integrity.
Yes, the military has lots of opportunities for job seekers that many people don't know about. We have direct commissioning for professionals like doctors and nurses. We have opportunities like the Reserves and National Guard for those who want to serve within their communities while also working a civilian job. We also have Department of the Army civilian jobs as well. We have the service academies like West Point that grant undergraduate degrees and commissioning as an officer. And the military offers higher education opportunities like the GI Bill and master's and doctorate degrees, as well as a wide range of benefits that cannot be beat in the civilian sector for them or their families.
You need to get clear on what you really want in terms of your career. You need to understand your strength and weakness in terms of your skills, the type of work that you enjoy doing, what's most important to you. It's like you think money is important to you, or the opportunities for promotions is important to you, the work itself, the location, or the company culture. Those are really great aspects for you to need to consider, for when you're searching for a job. And then obviously that is like, you have to tailor the resume for each of the jobs that you're applying for. A lot of people saying that is you can only take one resume and apply for all the jobs. That doesn't work that way. Each of the job has unique requirements. So you need to tailor your resume to match with that job requirements. There's no longer one size fits all type of situation here.
I think the correction to the hiring manager is very important, no matter it is directly correction or indirect correction. Try to find the hiring manager contact information, send them one email to briefly introduce yourself, and let them know what you can bring to the team. Show your passion. Maybe create a short video on YouTube. Send the honest link to the hiring manager to introduce yourself. Also, tailor your resume based on the job description to make you stand out and catch their attention. So always follow up the application, and certainly LinkedIn will help. Having a strong LinkedIn profile is a great way to make the collections and marketing yourself, and will help you get any applications sent to this platform seen and noticed more often.
If I'm starting to look for a job as a new employee, the thing that is very valuable or will be valuable for me is to connect with people who are already doing that type of a job. or people who are in that field, put a human connection into this network. And that will give you a perspective of what is expected from the job, as well as it will connect you with the employers, with the managers who are really looking for this talent. So look for ways to connect with them, either through your school, through conferences, you meet with them, even on the LinkedIn. That's all perfectly fine. But having a personal connection is really, really valuable, and that puts you above everybody else when you're looking for a job.
It really depends. You may want to use all resources you could leverage around you, whatever is the most efficient and take less opportunity cost. I personally found my postdoc job through my friend referral. Then I got my job in the company by meeting someone else at the conference. I know LinkedIn is a useful source to get noticed, especially when you have done a good job on your profile. Some headhunters may reach out to you according to the keywords in your profile. As far as I know, the career fair at colleges and the referrals through friends or family could be the most effective way to be noticed in the first step.
When I'm looking for a manager position, to promote someone to a manager position, one thing I always look for is this person a great team player or not? Is this person inspiring many people to do better than what they are otherwise? I will say our business is a team sport. And as a manager, you're like the captain of the team. So your job is to really be able to work with people and to be able to inspire people. And that's the quality that I'm looking for when I'm looking for someone to be promoted to a manager. Now, for an executive position, that's the same quality at the next level. Now, what you're looking for is that not only the person is able to do job very well in his or her domain, the person is just working for the company. For instance, for me, when I'm looking for someone for an executive position at IBM, the person should have a mindset that they only work for IBM and they will only make decision that is best for the companies and not for themselves, not just for their team, not just where they work, it's for the company. And that's how you look for, you graduate from being a manager to being an executive. You're looking out for the whole company. And that's the quality that I will look for, both for getting someone promoted to manager or someone promoted to an executive.
My first criteria for management selection is technical excellence. This is foundational. The manager needs to have foundational knowledge in their technical field. They have to be able to guide decision-making and guide engineering planning for their team. So this requires knowledge and experience. The second criteria I use are understanding the demonstrated leadership of their teams to deliver results. What is the track record of the individual in terms of either being a lead engineer or being some type of project lead to be able to lead people to create value and deliver results? The third criteria is a demonstrated ability to build high-performance leaders and teams. So beyond actually accomplishing the project, the managers need to care about people and they need to care about their development and how the team interacts so that they're creating high-performance teams and leaders. For executives, I consider business acumen, strategic thinking, and the ability to engage, listen, influence, and communicate powerfully as critical to an executive position.
What are the top 3 advices you will give to your mentee for his career or to workforce in general? When I talk to my mentee, I really pay attention to a few things. The first one is really stress on learning. To me, learning is an ongoing process, and it never stops, and it can happen anywhere. And I'll give you some examples from my experiences where that is so true. I'm a strong believer in learning all the time. Obviously, right, working with great engineers at TI, you learn every day, trust me. It is all about technologies, but it is also the approaches of how people analyze and solve problems.
Advice I would give to a mentee would be to make your work and contribution to the project or to the team goals are visible. Actively participate and contribute during work meetings, or volunteer for presentations. The second advice that I would give is to let your mentor know if you don't understand something or if you have a different opinion. Listen and ask if you can observe your mentors in practice. So that helps. Review your goals and make sure your mentor knows what to expect from you.
Finding a mentor and also be a mentor, which meaning that is like, you can be a mentor and help your mentees. That can give you a very valuable insight and help you to increase your visibilities, not only internally to your company, but also to the industry. It's more likely that you can help each other, you and your mentee can help each other in terms of have everything in check, in terms of your career path.
Yes, the advice I give to my mentees for their careers are, first of all, try to always stay ahead of technology. Try to learn as much as you can. Try to gain knowledge in your area and branch out. The other advice would be, while you're at the beginning, earlier stage of your career, take risks in your company, possibly move around. Try to understand the functionality of the company. Try to understand how the mechanism of the company works. And be flexible, be able to do different tasks from different organizations. And the last advice I give to them is to always to live on a good terms and be communicative with the people you had before, because you never know when you have to go back to them and work with them, or may have to go back to your organization again. And collaboration and teamwork is very important to be able to develop a detailed network of people that you work with and always be in touch with them.
The number one, I would say, is a keep learning attitude. This is a changing area. We have to make ourselves be hungry for new stuff. Learning new things requires commitment and the ability to push through our uncomfortable zone until reaching competency. Second one is to open mind and be nice to everyone. Try to develop your network, collaborators, and make friends, as many as you can. I would say everyone is unique. You cannot imagine you could do everything well by your own. Your collaborators and friends can always help sometime, someday. Because it's very difficult to accomplish a huge task or job at the present circumstance. The third one is be happy with what you have. As long as we understand clearly on what these urges come from, as well as we have gone through some bad experience, we may have clear recognition on how good we are now. If you feel miserable or down, just observe kids. They can find happiness in smallest and most ordinary things in life.
So my top 3 pieces of advice would probably be: 1, be on time, whether it's to meetings, phone calls, or helping customers. Just be on time. 2, be curious. Going back to what I look for in entry-level talent, curiosity is so important. Ask those questions, always be interested in learning more. And my third piece of advice is never limit yourself. We are all capable of great things. There is no task or job or challenge that's out of your reach.
So first is I will help my mentee set realistic expectations. Secondly, I will encourage a lot of communication and encourage building relationships. Third, I will tell my mentee that people come from diverse backgrounds and experience, get to know each other on an individual basis.
Yeah, again, because this is the career interview and the session with the Asian American Engineer of the Year. So I tend to speak to the young professional, the future workforce, who just freshly come out from college. So who has the Asian heritage. So Asian, we are well known for technical skill. The excellency in everything that we do in the technical aspect, be it in medical, engineering, in finance, law, music, etc. However, this technical skill and excellence in most things we do is only get us this far. So if you want to move high up in the career ladder, you have to do more than that. So such as you have to develop your soft skill. Again, I mentioned before in the previous question, you have to develop the soft skill in collaborating, influencing. So again, the ability to observe, to be able to recognize business opportunity, to influence, to help others to perform better, team-wise, group-wise. I think that really put you in the management and leadership position for promotion. So personally, on many occasions, I've been facing quite a number of challenges that require me to develop further in the ability to cooperate, to develop the leadership as well. So personally, I learned that along the way, when you help others, you also help yourself as well. So again, I mean, it's all at the end of the day is the teamwork, the group work, and something beyond you, something you work for a greater cause, whether it's from your organization or a bigger in a society setting. So that's my words of advice.
Sure. We all go through job change, sometimes career change. I think the most important thing is to know what you're looking for in a new job or career. Does that fit with your long-term ambition? In my case, I always knew that I want to have profit and loss responsibility and be a general manager of a business. When I had the chance to get experience in a sales management role, I took it because I know it would be an important skill set to have as a GM to understand what the customers and market want. I took the position as a lateral move from a marketing position. It was a very valuable experience and made me a stronger GM later on in my career. It's of course important to progress in your career, but I would say equally important is the learning you can get from the new position and whether or not aligns with your long-term career aspiration.
It's going to happen. And it's hard. Okay? Multiple things in your career can drive change. It could be business environment, it could be organizational structuring, it could be technology changes. So let's talk about a change, I exhibited or I experienced and how did it happen. I started my career in TI in manufacturing. I learned the depth and breadth of semiconductor manufacturing for first to 10 to 12 years of my career. And trust me, I learned a lot and I got very comfortable in talking about semiconductor manufacturing. Now, one thing about TI will take a chance on you if you want to try different things. So guess what? I had an opportunity to completely move out of manufacturing environment and go to a sales and marketing IT organization. Very scary feeling. My boss was my biggest advocate of change, but a lot of people were also hesitant in mentoring me not to change. Mainly the fear of failure and fear of unknown was my biggest challenge.
I think the soft skill is very important for the engineering community. Looking back at all my past 15 years in GM, I would say that engineering soft skills such as communication and teamwork are just as critical as technical expertise in conducting our daily engineering projects and also projecting the career success. So I do think the most important soft skill for engineering is the effective communication skills. For example, as an engineer, we always have a tendency to focus on technical details when our customers or clients are probably more often interested in finding a simple solution to their specific problem, and also to understand like the benefits to their business. That means they are not necessarily interested in fundamentals or like the technical details, so particularly at management levels. So practice delivering highly technical information in as simple as possible. At the same time, keep our customer or our client's perspective in mind.
I would say it's very important. Soft skill, or sometimes we call it leadership potential, is required for any position, even in the engineering community for technical career path. Having high IQ is not enough. You also need to develop your EQ. We all work with other people and teams. Being able to collaborate, handle conflict, find ways to achieve win-win is critical for any position. Therefore, we evaluate and develop people on their leadership potential, even if they don't manage people. So please don't underestimate the soft skill. Many times, it will accelerate career and make you from good to great.
A successful engineer, one has to rely more than just your technical skills. Hiring managers and recruiters now seek out engineers who are not only amazing at what they do, but also bring key soft skills needed to effectively interact with their team every day. You need to be able to communicate and collaborate with other engineers who are working on different pieces of that system, as well as cross-functionality with product managers, designers, and others.
Now you have very strong communication skill, you have very strong soft skill to communicate with others. You need to convince those guys to support you. And in many cases, they are not the expert, they are not the SME in your field. So that relies on how strong of your soft skill, how strong of your communication skill to convince the other to give you enough support. So that's very important. And a strong soft skill or communication skill also help you to build up a very strong team. So you have the skill, you need to have the skill to make everybody work together as a team and to make sure everybody work happy, everybody happy within the team, everybody easy to help each other, and that also help you to improve your leadership. So basically, in other words, the soft skill is also part of the strong leadership.
That concludes our virtual interview part of the program. And next certainly will be the live chat with the attending award winners. I have the great honor to present them. The first one will be Mr. Steven Yahata, Vice President from Boeing. Mr. Yahata, maybe show your face through the video and say hi. Next one will be Dr. Gershaman Baweja, Senior VP and also CIO from Texas Instruments. The next
Good
one
afternoon.
would be Mr. Pratik Gupta, CTO from IBM.
Hello, how are you?
Nice seeing you, Mr. Gupta. Next one will be Colonel Daniel Ngo, Executive Officer, Army Inspector General Agency. Colonel Ngo. Oh, we haven't seen her yet. Okay. Next one will be Dr. Xing-Chen Xiao, Staff Researcher of General Motors. Dr. Xiao. Oh, we noted earlier he seems to have some difficulty logging in today, although all right in the dry run earlier. The next one will be Mr. Jackie V. Chow, Processes and the Tools Senior Leader from Boeing. Mr. Chow.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Nice to have you. So Michelle will do a unique way of introduction of them through a lightning round of question and answer. Michelle, would you like to start and share with the audience how you're going to do the introduction?
Hello, thank you, Larry. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. By the way, I just saw Dr. Shao raise his hand from the audience. Maybe somebody can move him from the audience to the panelists. Yeah. Okay. So
I can do it.
Okay. I was so inspired by the words of wisdom and the insights from the AAEOY awardees in the virtual interview. And we're gonna kick off our panel discussion by the lightning round. And everybody can see the slide, right? So we're gonna have 5 quick, interesting questions for each one. And everyone has 30 seconds to answer the questions. So the first question will go from the left to right. And then the other next question will go from the right to the left. So everybody's ready? All right, so our first question is about the leadership style. I believe all the panelists are great leaders. Can everyone describe your leadership style? A democratic one, strategic, coach style, or anything you can describe? Mr. Steven Yahada. Hello? Mr. Yahada? Maybe. I cannot hear. Can you hear Mr. Yahada? Are you there?
He is there. I couldn't hear.
Yeah.
I think it's muted. Mr. Yahata, you may be muted.
Can you unmute yourself? Hello?
We cannot hear.
Okay. How about we go to Dr. Bawaja and then we will come back.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Oh,
Yes.
okay. I can hear you. Okay. Okay. Dr. Bawaja. So can you describe your leadership style?
Yeah, the answer is a little bit circumstantial, but in general, I think about 3 to 4 years of strategy, then try to incrementally take steps to really drive towards that end journey and learn along the way and empower the team to deliver.
Cool. Okay. Next one, Mr. Gupta.
Yes, my style is a little bit a combination of 2 styles. Number one, clearly, you have to paint a good vision for the team to understand. So clear communication with vision and strategy is important. And then I come in with a coaching style to make each of the team members perform at their best. And I try to make sure that there's no penalty for mistakes early on. And so people are free to innovate and try and do their best to meet the strategic goals I've set for them.
Great. Thank you. And is Dr. Shao here with us in the panelist?
Hi, yes, I'm here. Hey, Michelle.
Cool. Cool. Okay.
Okay. So I think my my leadership style is quite simple, based on my work responsibility. So it's more like coaching. So I have been supervising postdocs and serves as the PhD thesis community members for the graduate students in school, and also mentoring the young researchers in our research organization.
Okay, great. And Mr. Jackie Chow.
Can you just sound check? Can you all hear me now?
Yeah.
Great. For me, it really depends on the situations or the environment that I am in. If I would need to choose, I would say that is I'm more strategic and transformation type of leadership style, just because of my last two positions. Is actually giving me an opportunity to do a lot of strategic organization structure transformation. And as an example of that, I need to transform a 40 years design application organization into a most second century initiative. There's more like data analytic type of things. So my role for the last for the last two jobs is more about strategic and more transformation.
Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. So is Mr. Steven Yahata here?
Yes, I think he may be okay. Yeah, Mr. Yahata, can you try again? See if your video is up.
Hello.
We still have trouble hearing your audio. Ms. Yahata, I just sent you an email with the phone number of one of our technical volunteer. Can you reach him? Hopefully he can help you get back with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
So Larry, how about your second interesting question?
The second question will be more fun to it. Please name one exciting thing that you do or did to motivate your team. Please use a real example from your vast experience. So we'll go in the reverse order. Therefore, it will be Jackie B from Boeing. Would you share your experience first?
Yeah, great. For motivation, recognition is the one thing that I do for my team. Great example is most recently that Boeing has been massive hiring, and I do have a couple of my staff analysts and the finance analysts that actually help me to look through a lot of numbers. So my current role is supporting my senior director from Boeing commercial airplane systems. And we need to hire hundreds of people in. And there's a lot of moving data. We don't know how many we need to hire. It's a lot of staffing and budget. So my staff analysts and my finance analysts that have been constantly helping me to figure out a lot of different numbers. So what I did is they work constantly hours, and I recognize them by giving, the great thing about Boeing, we do have a price points and cash award. What I did for them is actually recognizing them through some of the cash award and recognize them in front of the directors and the senior director. So telling them how great work that they do to the organization. So that's
wonderful.
Kind of motivating my team.
Thank you so much. How about the next one, Dr. Xiao? Again, 30 seconds.
Sure. So actually, we have a similar opinion about the end. So at GM, we have a unique system we call my recognition. So typically, there is one the app we can put our recognition to our team member to recognize their new accomplishment, teamwork, or the community service. You can post the short message on the website, and the whole organization can see that. And the leadership can boost that with some points. Then once you accumulate certain points, you can purchase any gifts as you want.
So
that's a very good system.
Wanting to join your team right away too. All right, let's move on to the next one. I don't think Colonel No is here. That will be Mr. Gupta from IBM.
Yes, IBM has a lot of awards and rewards and points and money. But one of the things which engineers like is their voice being heard and them having a say in the final outcome of the product. And so as a small token, what we generally do in my team is each team member gets to run my strategic meeting every week. And they get to run it the way they like to run it. They like to bring out the ideas. And that means their voice is heard, their style is heard, and they learn what does it mean to run a team. So that actually motivates them more than the money award which they get often, because they feel they have a voice in the actual result which we produce.
You also train them right there. Wonderful. I learned something right away. How about Dr. Baweja?
So a couple of things I have learned over my career, right? One, everybody comes to work to add value. Nobody comes to work to not add value, okay? I mean, that's pretty obvious. Now, and if you make people little uncomfortable beyond their comfort zone, but not assign a completely impossible task, everybody's very motivated to achieve that task, okay? And there's a lot of work examples given. I'm going to give you an example from coaching kids outside work from my life, okay? Basketball, 7-foot high pole. Everybody sees people dunking basketballs in the NBA court. And, you know, at that age, we don't have athletic ability to really dunk the basketball. So one thing we did is, right, we lowered the basketball down to 4 feet, which is still probably a feet higher than everybody. And everybody's so motivated in that uncomfortable but possible scenario to actually try to dunk the ball. And our athletic ability actually started to develop. And then every 15 days or so, without telling them, increase the height by 6 inches, and they are motivated to really make that happen.
Wonderful. Mr. Yahata, how about your experience? Mr. Yahata?
Oh, okay. I don't think we can hear him.
Oh.
Okay. How about, yeah.
So
No
Michelle,
problem.
maybe we first move on to the third
Next
question.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. So here's an interesting one. So let's start with Dr. Bawaja. If you like to build a brand new team, who do you like to hire the first? People with huge experience, technical expertise, or with the same value, or people you trust, or whoever you can think about.
Okay, so I'm going to make 2 points very quickly. One, my bias is towards bringing different thought process than mine, because I think 2 different thought processes will make decision making a lot better. And also stress us together, each other, and challenge us to really think from the other perspective. So my bias is towards thinking differently. The second point I'm going to make is, right, I think we heard the word soft skill a lot today. That word was said multiple times. I'm going to probably venture out, and we had a recent conversation, and I'm going to coin the word power skills instead of soft skills, okay? The reason I say that is, right, that sewing skills are very foundational. Technology will change, but problem-solving skills are still needed everywhere. So I almost call them power skills, and I really bias myself toward power skills when hiring people.
Great, thank you. Okay, how about you, Mr. Gupta from IBM?
Yes, so everybody has strong skills and some weaknesses. Nobody's perfect, right? So as Dr. Baweja said, find people who are going to make up for where you are weak. And so that's the first thing I do. And the second thing is really is a person who is very good with other people, okay? That means you want people who are building the team with you. So people who are fitting with you in terms of complementing your skills, and then people who are good attracting new skills to the team. I think those are some of the first people I get. And that's what makes other people want to join your team, because that's an inviting team. That's the place where everybody wants to work.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. So how about Dr. Shao from GM?
Sorry. So first of all, I would like to see if she or he is a good team player or not. And second, I would say like the knowledge and skill sets. So it's meaning about like know what and know how and how that can fit like the project needs, and their like the skill is if it's complementary to the skills from other team members. And the third, I would say if this team member can really committed to deliver the results.
Okay, great. And how about Mr. Chow?
I agree with all the panelists' comments today in terms of building up the teams. You know, they need we need to have both technical and then also soft skill. If we want to build up a great team, you just can't have all the technical people because, like, you know, they're in a way that is you won't be able to accomplish everything because everyone have their own unique ideas and it's really hard to convince. So to me, is like they need to have a balance between someone that actually willing to take the lead and someone willing to be listened. So for me, and sometimes, like, you know, if I'm looking for someone that doesn't have a lot of technical background, that's okay. But because employee can gain an experience throughout the job and throughout some hands-on experience. So to me, that need to be a balance.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chow. I've seen Mr. Steven Yahada from Boeing is in the panelist. Do you like to try to answer? Turn on your microphone. Hello. Okay, so Larry, how about your next interesting question?
All right. The next question will be that at the interview, what will be your favorite or the toughest question you like to ask? We'll start with Mr. Jackie V. Chow first.
To me, I think the toughest question is tell me about yourself. You know, being an Asian, you know, I'm kind of generalizing a little bit, but it's actually applied to me. I've been taught to be humble and to be modest. And when that question was asked, meaning that is, I have to praise myself, you know, to others and telling them how good I am. So that's really hard for me, especially when they wanted to tell me about my actions, my achievements, you know. So to me, that is the toughest question, is just selling myself out.
Okay, great. Be bold, boasting about yourself. How about you, Dr. Xiao?
So I think my favorite question would be actually, what is your greatest weakness, and also what is your greatest strength? And I think these answers to these two questions can give us a lot of information about the candidate, not only about their like the skill set, but also about like how they face their weakness and how can they improve themselves.
Okay, great. Next one will be Mr. Gupta on this question.
Yes, I think both those questions are excellent. One of the things I do after all of those two questions, very good questions, was what do you bring to the table? Why do you want to join this company, this job now? And that's what gives me information about their motivation for why they are here.
Wonderful. I need to think about again too. Yes, Dr. Boeja, your turn.
Yeah, okay, so going last always has pluses and minuses, right? So all the good ones are said, so I agree with all three comments. What I will do is, right, maybe summarize a little bit of why I go for interview and what do I get out of it, right? In the end, the purpose of the interview is to really get to know somebody. It's not to really stump them or not really see, you know, by some question they can't answer. So my approach is really pick something they have highlighted on their resume, because I'm assuming that's what they're very comfortable with. That's what they're proud of. And actually quiz them on how they achieved it, why they achieved it, where were the challenges, how did they influence people, because they should be very comfortable in describing, and I'm really trying to understand the depth and breadth of their work.
I just dialed back in and I'm using Wi-Fi data rather than...
Hello?
Yeah. It's okay, we can continue. I think Yahada just get on successfully. Okay. We can continue, go ahead, yeah.
Thanks.
I believe Dr. Baweja
Yeah, I think I completed mine, but if you want, I can repeat it, but I think should be okay.
All right. Dr. Yahata, if you are there, we're looking at the question that at interview, what's your favorite or the toughest question you like to ask?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Apologize for that. And sorry for the interruption.
Yeah.
I think, when I guess when I think about interview questions, especially, for, I'll call it early careers or first jobs, things like that, the only question that I really remember from like when I first started my career was I was at an engineering company. They had me meet with a group of leads, and they gave me an engineering problem, and they said, "Tell me how you'd solve it and do the math on the board." And that it was good. It gave me an opportunity to kind of outline the problem, show how you think about it, run through the math, and show that you could actually do it. And I don't know, I thought it was a good experience, but it was pretty memorable. So the other thing I just wanted to say was that, in a sense, an interview actually never ends. It's, I think we're always in a position where each of us is showing what we can do. Post interview, before an interview. I mean, I've been in situations where I got a phone call, and after I got off the phone call, I said, I think I was just interviewed for a job. So, I mean, those are things to just keep in mind. Thanks.
Thank you. Michelle, your turn for the fifth question, and I'll see if I can reach Colonel No again. Thank you.
Okay. Well, yeah, I do enjoy the answers from all the panelists. And here's the last one, but it's very interesting one, because all the leaders here are the great leaders, and most of the time you coach your team and challenge your team. But the last question is, how do you challenge yourself? So the first, let's go to Mr. Steven Yahada from Boeing.
Thanks. Great question. I think I've heard some of this content and some of the content from other leaders. I think it's really important that each of us be a lifelong learner. And so I think one of the ways I challenge myself is really to learn from others, and to challenge myself to learn in areas where I feel like I need to develop. Early on, I think one of the things that I really had to figure out and understand was public speaking, for example. It was never something I was very comfortable with. And, you just have to kind of step up to making that happen after you recognize that it's something you have to do. I do a lot of reading. Recently I've been reading a lot of Adam Grant, great book, Think Again, Brene Brown, others. I've also, I think I've learned a lot by doing activities outside of work. If you coach youth sports, you will learn a lot about leadership. If you, like I've been engaged in building houses for the homeless, and there's a lot you can learn from doing that. I challenged myself during COVID that I would come out stronger than I went into it. And so I really challenged myself with an exercise and I'll call it improving my diet regimen, and it's really paid off. But sometimes you just have to set the goal out there and then challenge yourself to go after it. Thanks.
Great, thank you. And how about you, Dr. Bawaja from TI?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna build on the learning concept already introduced, because I think you have to learn forever. I mean, there are things you learn every day, and one of the techniques, and I learned that while I went through my MBA, part-time MBA course, right, is actually use case studies. Okay, case studies are a very good way to understand how somebody actually solved or addressed their problem or how they didn't, right? It goes both ways. And it's a very good tool. So I study a lot of case studies to kind of challenge myself to think about it. The one specific thing I really look in the case studies is not just what the outcome was, but also as somebody was in that journey, how did they make decisions when they have no data available or less data available? And I think that's enhances the learning experience really, really good.
Great, thank you. Mr. Gupta from IBM.
Sure. I think the first thing is to understand who are you competing against? What are you challenging yourself for? And I think everybody should be challenging themselves to be a better version of who they are from where they are now. How do you improve yourself to become better in dealing with people, dealing with situations, dealing with conflict, family, work? I think that personal journey is the biggest challenge each of us can undertake. And in that journey, you'll actually encounter things which you will use at work every day as well. So if you are very comfortable in everything you are, you're doing it wrong. You have to be that little bit uncomfortable and go the next step on how can you make a better version of yourself next day, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. It's a daily challenge, a daily journey.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Shao from GM.
Yeah, I agree. Learning new things probably is one way to challenge myself. But as a the researcher or engineer, one thing I would like to do is then to for challenging myself is to, for example, find the different solutions with different work mechanism to some specific problems we got in the at the workplace. So that gave me a lot of opportunity to learn new things, and also. I would like to discuss my solutions with my colleagues, and quite often I find probably the solution I come up with very proud, but it's not the best solution to them. So I'm keep learning that. So I think that's a good way to challenge myself.
Thank you. How about Mr. Jackie Chow?
I agree with all the panelists. For me, similar learning, being a lifetime learner. I'm always put myself out of the comfort zone, because I went to just like Dr. Gupta was saying, that is, if you if you're in a comfort zone already, you won't learn anything. Getting out your comfort zone is actually giving myself an opportunity to really evaluating and re-evaluating my skills and see what I lack of. And that's kind of what I really want is challenging myself, to get out my comfort zone.
Thank you, Dr. Chow. So yeah, so here's our unique way of self-intro. And Larry, looks like we have a special guest to our panel today.
Yes, Lene Elverson. Lene, here she is. Lene is the expert on the talent development. I always figured that we need a motherly figure in the panel to help. Of course, we put you through the hoops the same way. Michelle,
yes,
fire off your lightning questions to Lynette.
Yeah, Lynette, we are so excited to have you, and we also have lightning questions for you. So, so from your observation, what's the most common skill people lacks or people needs to improve? Yeah, so please share with us your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. Great conversation today, too, by the way, Michelle and Larry. Very helpful advice from the panel here as I've been listening. I think the most common skill that is difficult to develop as a team member is actually peer-to-peer feedback. If you think about, right, how you've heard it today a number of times, the importance of collaboration. Collaboration isn't just positive. It isn't just about what's going on that's good, right? Collaboration is actually spending the time to be honest with one another and really challenge each other. And as a team member, right, really being open to sharing your real thoughts with your team members, right, about what maybe didn't work, or, somebody who you highly respect and having to tell them, hey, I disagree with your idea, or, I really think you could have done a better job here in a different way. to make us, progress a little faster or whatever it is you have to say. I think that's really hard. That's really hard
Yes.
to do, for sure.
Along a similar way, what would you say to a leader or even a team member that building a strong team together? What are the few key factors you can think of right off your head?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I would say number one is clear goals, know where you're going, and starting there, assessing, your team and where you're at and what you've been doing, and using this opportunity to really determine where you want to head next. And then the other thing would be values. So thinking about what kind of team you want to have, right? And what kind of values and behaviors you want to establish for your organization would be something that I think is really important. And then just one more thing is, as you bring team members on and you set expectations, that you help bring people along with you, that they're aligned with your thinking. And you heard someone say earlier about the importance of a vision, and people knowing what that is and what you're trying to achieve together are really important factors to building a strong team. Everybody knows where we're going. It's a lot easier to get there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Michelle,
Yes.
as the moderator, let's start with the questions from the audience.
Yeah, we got lots of questions from the floor, like how to overcome your fear, or the recruiting, the hiring requirements for the entry level. However, let's start with some questions like extension from our discussion, the relationship between effective leadership and team building. So I would like to ask the panelists how to mentor, how to coach your team. Probably Lynette can bring in your feedback at the same time. So it's a free open discussion. So you can either raise your hand or you can just share with us your thoughts. Okay, how about Dr. Bawaja? Do you like to say something first?
I can kick it off with a couple of thoughts and others can
Great.
add, right? I think to me, right, it all starts with very clear direction setting, followed by a very clear and transparent feedback, okay, in a very constructive manner. If you have those two pillars in place, I think it gives people a lot of energy to really drive towards success. That's how I will start it, and I'll let others add, and we'll come back and add more stuff.
Cool. Lynette, do you like to develop more questions regarding the team building and effective leadership?
Sure, absolutely. Panelists, I'd love to hear more from you around how you establish expectations for your leaders, which is a part of, right, how you coach and the goals that you set, and maybe talk a little bit about how you do that.
Yeah, this is Pratik. One of the things I do is as a leadership team, we get together and sit down and write down what our joint goals are. It's written down clearly on paper, on the board, documented, that we all believe these are our goals. And as you said, these are our values and our ways of getting there. And that becomes the contract between all of the senior team members, which we then say, okay, so if we agree this is where we are headed and this is how we are headed, then what are the steps do we need to take? And who is going to take those steps? So each of the leaders then picks up what steps they will take to get to the goals and what will they deliver. And it's really self-creation of the roadmap and the target. And that means there's much greater buy-in from my senior team on how they're going to get there.
Better commitment. Very good. Great answer. Thank you.
And just another thought on this is that, from a team building standpoint, to me, the first steps have to do with building trust and respect amongst the team. And, if especially, we went through COVID this past year, we had a lot of people working virtually. I run teams that are globally based, and so you have to be very intentional about building trust and respect amongst the individuals and the teams that you're working with. Through the activities that you do. People actually have to get to know each other Getting together face to face is important, so that people can see you see each other as people. There are so many aspects to, I'll call it, establishing trust and respect amongst the team to build the team.
Absolutely.
I agree. This is Jackie. It's just to build on what Mr. Yahara would just mentioned too. From a team building perspective, to me, is you need to be more to be open communication to your team, to be more transparencies. In terms of what you wanted to go, what your team is wanted to build from a direction standpoint, and setting the goal and objectives. And to me, team building should be an ongoing process. In the workplace. We need to do somehow, I'd like to use the phrase that PDCA, which is plan, do, check, act. So make sure that is like, every step on the way, you need to make sure and bring along with your team and check how the team is doing. And then if it's not doing well, we can come back and modify it.
Absolutely. I like that, monitoring progress along the way and checking. And you're right, that really leads to motivation of the team itself. Other thoughts, panelists?
So
go ahead, please.
Okay, so I think probably first we can establish a clear goal for this project, so we can focus on the team, and every team member understand like what's the purpose for this project, and how and also we have to setting a clear expectation for our team, and ensure everybody knows what to do, and also we have to get agreement on this, for example, the metrics help setting the the goal for everybody and getting work done without like the argument later on. Yeah. And also we have to get like the support from the organization. Yes. And I think last we have to set like the discipline, so everybody knows and what you needed to deliver, and also we have to conduct like a team building exercise to also motivate like the employees or like our team member to take more positive actions going forward, and also ensure like the everybody knows what he's accountable for his actions.
Absolutely. Nicely said. Thank you. Dr. Boija, were you going to say
most points have been made, right? I think I'll add a little bit, maybe different words to the things said so far. Goal setting is key, right? And writing it down, the contract, right? I think one of the things I've noticed when you go through that conversation, that sometimes, and a lot of times, differing thoughts come to the table, okay? It's great to have differing thoughts. That's not a bad thing. That's a great thing, right? But I think at some point, right, you got to agree to disagree or agree on a real goal which you're going to drive towards, which may mean a little bit of give and take, which may mean a little bit of adjustment. And having that clarity and that transparency then creates a trust and respect. I think so. That's where I kind of try to focus a little bit to make sure those different thoughts, we leave the room with an alignment, clear alignment. Yes. So we can pull the rope in one direction, right? And get to the end goal a lot faster.
Yeah, nicely said. Dr.
And I have a question for you, and then I have another question for all the panelists. We have an audience would like to ask how to overcome fear and building confidence and best strong skills. Yeah.
Yeah. I can start, and then we'd love to hear from the panelists as well.
Okay.
I think to overcome fear begins with understanding a little bit about why you're afraid, maybe even digging into, in some cases, practicing. Maybe it's your fear of speaking in front of people, as an example. How can you put yourself in a situation where maybe you're trying on a new skill in a safe way, in a safe place, to get some confidence in what you're doing and how you're doing it, whatever that may be. Also living through experiences of other people, I think, learning about and doing a little bit of research around what is it, and, that you're fearful of from others and how maybe they attacked it, to get some ideas and ways to approach diminishing that for yourself. But that's what I would say. What do you all think, panelists?
Yeah, or maybe for the panelists, because we have another question, like describe a time you had to make a tough decision, like budget cut, organization restructuring, market withdrawal or anything, yeah, especially during the pandemic?
To overcome my own fear, I have to raise this point. Schedule-wise, it's 2:30. I hope all the panels and the audience would agree to maybe extend it for another 10, 15 minutes. If okay, I would like to be allowed for another minute or two, go through some of the guidelines to the audience about the job fair that will follow. So for those who urgently needs to find another fun path down the road, they can probably move on to the job fair, and others can still stay here. If okay, I will ask our volunteer Yansu to show the slide of Eaton. For those who are very interested in the job fair, allow me to do an introduction. Due to the scheduling issue, we got two sponsors who likes to join, but we couldn't fit them in. So I promised to do a quick introduction. One is Eaton. It is a company pretty big, providing the sustainable solution on the power. And audience who is interested can use the screenshot to take this slide down. Anyone interested in the job can go to their website shown in the yellow color. This is Eaton. Next slide. This is from another volunteer who worked for a startup called Innoface. They look for the talent in the semiconductor IC design. This is a fabulous startup on the communication, looking for talents here in Bay Area. They're funding an office here. Interest party can email Norman Chen. His email is shown there with the job opening down there. The last slide, next one, is just to show all the audience that later on you can go around. The first thing is that you need to get to the, so we call it access page. It's a website location. If you should receive that from Eventbrite. If you couldn't find it right away, just go to AAEOY.org, the homepage. You'll see the description of this event with the enter here. Click it, you get to the access page, and you will see this table there. You could see the red line looped the Zoom meeting rooms there. Just click on it next to the company names, and you will get right there. If you want to exit and move on to the next company's Zoom room, just exit the room, go back to the access page, find the next room you like, next company you like to visit, click the corresponding Zoom. On the same access page, you will also find a really brief description about the company and also their website for the job opening. On the right in this table is a very brief description about the company's talent search for your convenience. Thank you very much. Back to you, Michelle and Lynette. Thank you for tolerating my intrusion here.
No problem. So, so any panelists are with us now? So Larry, we still have 10 minutes?
Yes. If the, as long as the panel agree.
Okay. So how about we continue with our previous question? Describe a time you had to make a tough decision during the pandemic. Anybody like to share? Okay.
This is Pratik. And
okay.
This is not during a pandemic, but generally the toughest decisions which we take are about budget cuts and how it impacts people's lives. And I think one of the things we as leaders have to do is make sure we put in our best, so we are never in a position where there are budget cuts. So, that's our responsibility to ensure that we are making sure that the business is successful and you are, doing it in such a way that you never have to go through cuts. So what I try and do is make sure that the team I build is never over budget and slightly always under budget so that we don't have to deal with some of those things. But those are some of the toughest decisions. And how do you find roles for people who can no longer be on your team? And those decisions actually take a little bit of time. And when that situation is there, what I try and really do, what I have done is find in advance where those people are going to go up front so that, it is not impacting their lives as much as it would have if I had not done the additional homework to find places for them. So that's my job as a leader, to find places for my team who we can no longer afford because of any budget situation or market situation. And that's one of the toughest ones, actually, what I come across.
Okay. Lynette, please share with us your feedback, if anything you like to say.
Oh, thanks for that. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Gupta, and I know all the leaders here when it comes to having to make these kinds of decisions, especially in the environment we're in today, where you don't always get to see people face to face. You can't read, their body language and their reactions, and trying to manage, trying to manage through an environment like this, I think just puts extra stress on them and on the teams as well. And so I just have a lot of respect for that. And I know, at least at Texas Instruments, as we've been going through this pandemic, tough decisions being made about work that can be done or maybe needs to be held back, right? Spending time, even, contact tracing when it comes to illness and, people being out. And how do you then manage your work when, your workforce is constantly changing day to day because you have people who are out with COVID or with illness or having to take care of their families. It's a very difficult situation, right? And I know there are many tough decisions that have to come through that, just, in trying to deal with a day to day. That's what I would say.
Great.
It's a difficult thing. Yeah, it's a difficult thing. A lot of respect for you all as leaders.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to share your experience regarding making a tough decision?
Yeah. I think let me add a couple of things, right? I mean, Lynette and Pratik did very well to kind of start the dialogue, right? The things I will add is, right, one, patience, take time, personal touch, communication. Those are the factors, right? I mean, we can try not to be in this situation, but everything is not in our control. Things will happen, and when it happens, right, it's very transparent in explaining what happened, why it happened, right? Be in a very listening mode. Not that I'm going to finish my speech and I'm going to leave, go to the next speech, right? Show some empathy, try to understand the other perspective, let them work through that a little bit, right? Things like that will happen. But I think taking that patience, communicating why, empathy, those are the things which come very handy when situations like that come up.
Yep. And this is Jackie, and I totally agree. Laying off is not easy. It's basically you impacting people's personal life. To me, it's like you need to often communicate it and communicate it in a way that is to show you have the empathy, and communicate more often. Because a lot of times managers don't think they shouldn't let the employees know when things are going poorly. They don't want the workers to become discouraged. But in the same time, that you need to really fill the employees in about the situation that we are in, and fill in information, the gaps to your employee, and then never delegate it. When this coming in, because if you need giving out a warn notice or pink slip, you need to do it and be empathy and sit there and listen to the have showing empathies and listen to the employees, when they wanted to say, to also to never delegate it during that situation.
Very good. Well said.
Great. Yeah. Larry, I believe we still have some questions from the floor, like the hiring requirement for the entry level and how to help you to stand out for the resume or something.
Yeah, can you present that and we'll see if we can get some crisp answers from our experienced panelists.
How to help yourself stand out. Mm-hmm. How about, yeah. Lene, do you like to go first?
Sure, I can go first. Happy to.
Okay.
How to help yourself stand out. I think it's being intentional about thinking about your past and the results that you have up to this point. And really, you know, I know it's difficult sometimes to brag on yourself, but putting those results not only in your resume, but in, you know, your profiles on LinkedIn, and then talking about them with people that you meet with, right? So you know up front what, you know, your results. And it's not just results from the standpoint of I accomplished, but it's actually putting the numbers behind it, right? And showing that you helped with generating the plan or the strategy. And then in the end state, what were the actual outcomes? You know, whether they were stellar or not, but more about, hey, I was able to lead this, and you know, this is what I'm really proud of, and this is what makes me different, is that I have a unique ability to put these things together and get to these outcomes, is what I would say. And knowing what that is and being able to showcase that as you talk to people, as you go through your interviews, as well as when you network too. And that way people will remember you. Love to hear what the rest of the panelists have to say about that as well. How would you say people need to stand out or could stand out?
Okay. Jackie, do you
Yeah,
like to
you
say
know,
something?
just,
Mhm.
you know, want to agree with that. I think, you know, sometimes, you know, when we're on campus visits and we're talking to students and visiting, for example, campus organizations, you know, one of the ways that students stand out is the leadership positions that they take, and how they can communicate what they've actually done, as in leading a team, for example. And it could be a design competition, or it could be you know, an integrated project that they're running. That is one way to stand out, and I think it's important that people kind of communicate it and feature kind of what they're doing and what their role is, and agree with, you know, the content on the resume. It's like, it's not just what the, you know, what your job title is, it's what did you do? What did you do? What did you make happen? Thanks.
And this is Jackie. I couldn't agree more. And when I look at people's resumes at the career fair, I'm not only looking for you know, the basic qualification, but I'm also looking for the whether they have any community involvement, you know, if they're giving back to the community. So those are the things that actually, we talk a lot about soft skill before, and there's a way to show demonstrating your soft skill is showing what have you do above and beyond compared to other candidates that never had. And by seeing whether you have any community involvement, how much you're giving back to the community, and basically adding all the pertinent skills and on your resume to make you stand out.
Okay. By the way, we have 2 more questions. I'm not sure if we have time to finish that, but let me mention that. The first one is, what would you say was your proudest moment in the company and how that impact your lives? Okay, the second one is, one was asking, he has difficult time picking a professional path. Like handful of job to choose. So maybe some comments or feedback about switching the career path. So how about the first one, the proudest moment in the company and how that impact your life? Anybody like to answer that question?
I can jump in real quick.
Okay.
I have a great job and I work in a great company, and the proudest moments in my career have been seeing individuals who I spend time with, helping them develop, succeed. That's the best thing ever. It's just,
cool.
And it happens over and over again. It's great, right? Because even though I might I only play a small role, right? When it comes to their development, whether it's helping them figure out what their development plan is or what it is they want to do in their career. I love seeing people, you know, actually meet their career aspirations and do great things in the company. So that's
Oh,
what I, yeah.
that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me add, yeah, I'm going to add something,
ahead.
right? I think, we'll all will have, big company milestones. Okay. And we'll, have, a lot of cheering and, proud moments there. But I think the smaller ones are probably more satisfying. I'm a big proponent of mentoring, whether you are a mentee or a mentor. I think every mentor is a mentee in that relationship, is how I believe. You learn from your mentee all the time. And to me, right, when the people you're mentoring become whole or achieve what they really set on to achieve, I think that's the proudest moment. It's one employee at a time, 2 employees at a time. It's a small thing, not a big hoopla, but that's when you feel the proudest.
Cool, cool. So Larry, looks like we need to end the chat. Larry, are you there? Or we
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, it's. I think timing wise, it's about time we should end this conversation, the dialogue, live chat. It's a great privilege to have the support from all the esteemed awardee plus Lynette. I certainly look forward to the future collaboration, such as the AAEOY speaker series. We already had 3 very successful ones. Looking forward to work with all the panel members in the near future. Of course, depending on your really busy schedule. And we certainly look forward to more events as every panelist did and doing today, to share your vast experiences through personal story to help all the audiences. And certainly we appreciate all the volunteers and the support from the audiences, as well as all the sponsors to AAEOY. So before we end, I'd like to have a group picture for all of the panelists, as well as the volunteers. Could you all turn on the volunteers? Can you all turn on your video? And then we'll take several group pictures.
Great. Say cheers. Great.
And I want to add one more point as we move towards, conclude the 2021 AAEOY. The committee is working prepare for 2022 AAEOY, events. And I know many of you probably heard, the invitation sent to you to come to Southern California next year, all the awardees, so we can hopefully meet in person, have a great networking sessions, great minds sharing. Okay, so hopefully see you soon.